Thank you, everybody. Welcome on board. We are live. Let's give everybody else a few minutes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Let's invite everyone else if you don't mind. We are live. Let's go. It's going to be a fun session, folks. Welcome back. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll kick off in a minute. Thank you, everybody. Welcome on board. Thank you all. All right. Thank you, everybody. The final 30 seconds. Let's go, folks. Thank you all. Thank you. Ping others and let them know we are live. And if you don't mind, just give us some like. Let's get other folks to view and be impacted also. Thank you. Your show. Thank you all. Welcome back from Thanksgiving. Thank you, everybody. If you don't mind, go ahead and chat also. As always, folks, we love to hear from you. Your feedback helps the community to prepare our team. So it's your show. I just facilitate. So we normally like to chat. Thank you, Yemi. Thank you, Fadora, AB, Roland. Awesome. Dimeji, awesome. Gift, K, Olu, awesome. Jane, thank you. Praise, Kachi, Sunday, Olaide. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you all. Let's go. Thank you, everybody. Just do us a favor. Just like and share with others also. Let's keep impacting one person at a time. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's get started, folks. Thank you. Okay. All right, welcome everybody. As always a delight to be in your presence. And folks, the drill is simple. All we do is simple. We try to help our community to prepare for interviews, one person at a time. So what we typically do is I moderate and you can always give feedback. I'll see your feedback. And as always, just let's give our folks feedback. So today we have somebody preparing for a GRC analyst position and we want her to get the job, right? So as always, we know we are very kind, but we are not nice here, right? So we are going to be brutal. We're going to try and put you on the spot. Don't take it personal, right? We know the drill. The best of us at our best days in the Lions Den, we give you a 5, okay, out of 10. It's not a reflection of you, but we leave room for you to go push the limits, right? And we have a pretty good statistics for our folks at the Lions Den. Over 90% of people are moved to the next stage, which is pretty good, right? And just hold on, hang in there, folks. I know sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming, frustrating, and we're all looking forward to the opportunity to have an offer. So, but don't quit. in our community because we are aggressive in applying. So the implication of that is this: because you are pushing a lot of jobs out in the market, it means naturally you will get some rejection and most likely a lot of rejection. But don't forget the goal is to get one job. So don't stress it. Just keep applying, be aggressive. Later in the week, hopefully within a few days, we would have a forum to guide our folks on some of the best practice we've seen lately on applying using AI to apply aggressively. And we'll talk more about that as we progress, but just look out for that, okay? So today we have one of our folks here, and let's give some love to Soso. Soso in the out. Hi, how are you, Soso?
I'm doing good.
Excellent, excellent. So what we're going to do is simple. She has an exciting opportunity out there. So we're just going to go through the position real quick. Then she would be on the spotlight to just kind of, the normal drill, folks. Just let's keep putting our comments and things we feel she can do better. Body language, eye contact, content, the way she speaks, the communication, the scenario she's giving. Whatever your feedback is, just throw it out there so we can guide and help her. So, what is this role? It's a GRC analyst role, not a senior role. It's the experience required is 1 to 3 years. So let's say 3 years, right? And they want somebody that has good knowledge of some of the leading frameworks out there, NIST, cybersecurity framework, PCI DSS, and SOX control testing. The other thing is understanding of security awareness technique, meaning some of the training requirements for security awareness in general. Then an effective communicator, typically a team player, someone that's also knowledgeable about conducting risk assessment, helping with mitigation of some of those risks, and potentially training other business units around cybersecurity. Then, of course, someone that contributes with building cybersecurity policies and procedure. A lot of times you could find yourself asked to help in providing a first draft of a cybersecurity policy. For those of us that have been part of our program, that should not be a big deal, to be honest, because all we're doing is we have mechanism to build that first draft. We prompt it in a way that it reflects the business, then we can build a first draft. Okay, so that's not a big deal. And a good example would be everybody is deploying to the cloud today. So I'm expecting your organization to have some kind of policy around cloud usage. Now, don't forget quick 101. Policies are typically your high level documentation. Procedures will be your step by step on what to do, and your guidelines will be typically best practices and recommendation, mostly optional, right? So those are some high level difference we should just put at the back of our minds in general. Then some example I just gave was, creating cyber awareness within a corporate environment because of the awareness project you worked on to help them to establish clear process around awareness. It's reduced security incident by 30%. And how do we know that? Simple. We look at the list of incidents, especially phishing campaign is a big one out there. People simulate phishing campaign. As a matter of fact, some organizations are crazy. If you fail the campaign 3 times, sometimes I've heard of people actually terminated because their role or their job is sensitive, and because they failed a phishing campaign 3 times, I think it's extreme personally, but I can understand why it's part of their policy in the organization. They'll terminate the employee. My issue with that is, does that include the C-level executive when they make the same mistake? Because I think most of the time, top leadership are worse in those kind of phishing campaign. They fall mostly, really. So, but that's a different story. But anyway, this is a good example to kind of show. Second one is vendor risk management. And for those of us that have been part of our program, remember, for every one of your vendors you work with, you and I are still liable ultimately. So it makes sense to continuously provide oversight on your vendor, do risk assessment for those vendors, and you can give some practical examples and how your role impacted the result in your organization in general. Okay. So, tell me about yourself. I expect you to be able to articulate your experience in GRC and how it has helped your organization, things like building policies and procedures, conducting risk assessment, benchmarking your security controls to leading framework. Those are good points you can always articulate about your strength. Then, one thing all of us must always bring up, because I can guarantee you probably 99% of organization would have it as a priority. and that is remediating issues because I can bet you everybody has some aging issues that are over 60 days. So mostly you can have issues that have been sometimes 2 years, 3 years. They have no clue what to do. So, and guess who the sucker is that they bring in first when they want to go figure out who can fix it? The new person. So if you are new to an organization, it's not uncommon for them to just push you to start working on remediation project. It's typical from my experience. Okay. All right. So the other thing is, you have questions for me in our community. You must have questions. It's not optional. So be ready to go with two questions. You don't have to get too personal, but you can get into the culture of the business. You can get into the priorities of the organization, what they are looking for, what are the current roadblock or challenges they are dealing with. If there are industry trends and issues, let's say AI, cloud, you could ask what are their, what's their current appetite for moving their data to the cloud, what is their mindset around the security or privacy around AI model within the organization. Those are things that are very recent emerging trend. And when you say things like that, someone feels, oh, this person is really current with some of the recent challenges. One of the big challenges everybody is dealing with, I can guarantee it right now, is AI model is here to stay. So most people will not allow you directly have access to ChatGPT in their network. So they have their own equivalent, right? A plugin that is within their environment they can provide oversight to. But even at that, it means what are the privacy oversight around that? So if you are healthcare and you have PHI or PII, for those of us new, PHI is personal health information, PII, personal identification information, any record that can compromise and lead to violation of privacy laws. And many times the fines are brutal. So you don't want to mess with this, right? So those AI models, we need to have a mechanism to make sure any of those privacy information is not compromised. For example, if I put a prompt and I put a patient's name or patient record in the prompt, is it going to bounce it out or allow the prompt to go? Now, if it allows the prompt to go, the question is, where is all of this stored? Is it internal to our business so that we can say, well, it's not going outside? Or is it something we don't know? Because if your record is compromised, then that can lead to bigger issues, really. Especially if you have customers in European Union, we're talking about GDPR. If you have customers in state like California, we have CCPA, we have other regulations now with most states, their locality, right? So it gets really crazy and cumbersome for you. So something to think about, okay, in general. If you ask those kind of line of question for everybody here, you're going to make your leadership or your hiring manager just like it because they know you're relevant in terms of the trends and the challenges right now that the world is dealing with. And I know this because most conferences, if you go to, and I challenge everybody, make sure you go to conference if you have time or capacity to do it. You'll see the trends. That's the easy way to see trends out there because people will talk about those topics as the keynote speaker will talk about it. Different people will talk about those trends, and that allows you to have an idea of, oh, these are the areas industry is really concerned about all over the world. All right, cool. Now your show. So we've said all this to kind of get you mentally ready. So now I'm just going to jump as usual. You know the drill. We've talked about it. So I would hand over to you. So um, all right. So I think your framing is good. So we talked about this earlier on. So we just jump into the weights of it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, please go ahead and just give us like so that we can have more people join. And please kindly share your comments, your feedback to so that I can make sure she's aware of it. We need those feedback badly, really. I would have some blind spots area I'm not thinking about, but a lot of you can help me. So, and here we go with the first question. So let's get started. All right. Thank you. So we saw a resume online. We think you might be a fit for one of our roles. We're looking for a GRC analyst that is a self-starter, somebody that can come in, help us with our updating of our policies and procedure, doing risk assessment, helping us with some of our remediation concern right now. Can you walk us through your experience and what you've done in the last couple of years?
Yes, definitely. So I have about 3 years experience in risk management and implementing compliance initiatives in both GRC and third-party risk management programs. So from my prior experiences, I've had the opportunity to work in dual functions where I'm working in internal GRC by carrying out risk assessments on various domains, implementing controls to mitigate any risks that I might identify from those assessments, and support audits to meet regulatory compliance requirements like SOC, PCI DSS, and also following standards and frameworks like ISO 27001 and NIS 853, amongst other tasks to benefit the business unit to be able to make an informed decision on risk management in regards to whether they accept or mitigate any risk. And on the flip side, when I've been part of the third party risk management team, my responsibilities have been the same, but there's been more focus on the vendors where I'm carrying out assessments on those vendors as a due diligence process. And basically, the assessment is the entire vendor life cycle. So, from like onboarding, contract reviewing, if we're terminating our contract with that vendor, so exit planning, or if we're renewing that contract, we're going to have a reassessment. So, that's my overview of experience there. I've definitely dabbled in various
Excellent.
fields on there.
Thank you. Thank you. And I see you've covered quite a vast areas of GRC. What's your philosophy as a GRC analyst generally? What would you say is your leading philosophy?
Mhm. I would say for me, it is, I try not to look at, because like at the surface level, GRC might seem like something that's about like ticking boxes, especially for like compliance. Of course, we have requirements that we have to be stringent with and we have to follow them to avoid penalties. But I definitely feel it's more than just, having a checkbox of requirements that we have to meet. We have to bring into context the business or the organization's context and try to relate how we're going to implement these controls and safeguards to meet the requirements against the real world risk that the business or the organization faces. So that's kind of like the way I like to view it there.
Thank you. What has been your most challenging project, and how did you deal with all the challenges on that project?
Yeah, I would say my most challenging project, just going off memory, would be, so just a bit of a backstory there. So I was supporting a company. They were in the process of getting their ISO 27001 certificate. And I was specifically working in we're specifically carrying out an assessment on the identity and access management domain. So after having a bunch of meetings with particularly the ITSM team, so the IT service management team, we found it that there wasn't like a verification process. So if I was an employee and I called the service desk to make changes on my account, they wouldn't verify. There wasn't any authentication method to verify that I was who I claimed to be. And obviously, we use a real world example like MGM, the hack. It all happened because someone called, changed the MFA. No one verified that that threat actor was actually a real employee. So that's just like a real world example. So it poses a huge threat to the organization's systems. So that was something that was really challenging because, first of all, unveiling that, it was a byproduct of having to have various meetings with that team to understand the policies that they had in place and how they were implementing those policies. So there was a lot of back and forth. And when we did raise it as a risk, we definitely had to go back to the drawing board a lot because, the team had priorities of trying to mitigate the risk, but also being cost effective and something that wasn't going to be too stringent on the user experience. So it was definitely something that we had to go back and forth to find a process that would work for us to verify who our callers were. And the company also had like a growing contractor ecosystem. So we also had to find something for contractor verifications.
Excellent. I noticed you also mentioned you did some SOX work. Can you walk me through some of your experience working with SOX controls and what exactly did you test?
Yeah, definitely. So for the SOC controls that I have experience with, it can range from logical access controls to change management, software development life cycles, business continuity, disaster recovery, data redundancy, data privacy in regards to data disposal, data onboarding, and just various sections and domains on there.
Okay, excellent. Can you walk me through, your experience with mapping controls and what framework are you comfortable using?
So the framework that I'm most comfortable using from my prior experience would be NIS 853. So that's
Okay.
the most that I have experience with. And I would say another option or another standard, since it's not necessarily considered a framework, would be ISO 27001. So that would be my experience with that there.
Okay. Tell me some of the controls within the NIST 853 that you really focused on.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, first of all, access controls. So,
Yeah.
looking at list privilege controls, role based access controls, multi factor authentication. And then, if we go over to like contingency planning, looking at disaster recovery and business continuity planning. So, looking at our RTOs, RPOs, and for a section of like audit and contingency, or not audit and contingency, but just audit,
Yeah.
where we're able to have like documentation, making sure that there is proper documentation or sort of like an audit trail within our organization.
Got it. How do you typically foster a culture of compliance within an organization that is really not familiar with any kind of compliance? So, example, there's a merger and acquisition you brought on board a company from Latin America. They are not used to the culture that we have in North America. How do you foster such a culture from your experience?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, first of all, just focusing on understanding that, it's a shared responsibility among various departments. So it's not only delegated to like the technical side or the technical departments, but just understanding that every unit and every department plays a role in our general goal of enhancing the security maturity of the organization. So just making sure that that is the common ground, that no matter what process that we're going through, that that's the common ground that we're trying to cultivate in the culture.
Thank you. Walk me through a GRC platform you are familiar with, and what are the use case you've had with those platforms?
Yeah, so from most of my experience, most of the organizations that I've supported, they do have
Yeah.
their own inbuilt tools that they do use, but we've definitely made use of tools like ServiceNow for reporting and
Okay.
Sharewell for CMDB, so like asset management and stuff like that.
Okay. Are you familiar with Risk Rhino, Risk Lens, iTrust, any of those, One Trust, any of those other platforms
Yes, I'm
like
familiar with.
Acha?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. Because we use Risk Rhino and Acha within our organization. Okay. Got it. Um, if you don't mind, how do you ensure a complex framework that impact our business in the past? How have you kind of mapped a complex framework that potentially impact our business, or let's say complex regulation? So we have multiple plants all over the world. In Asia, in Europe. So if we need to consolidate some of those existing regulation, what have been your experience, if any, in consolidating different regulation or the complexity in general? Do you have any experience with those?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have experience where, we have to meet like multiple compliances at the same time. So it might be PCI DSS, GDPR, HIPAA, SOC, or any other like CCPA and stuff like that. So definitely have experience with having to, meet certain compliance requirements at the same time. I would say one thing that I like to do is to always debrief. So we have to work with like various team members, so or various teams and departments, so whether IT, legal, or operations. So getting to debrief with them to understand what their priorities and perspectives are, because they're very
Yeah.
different. And then also, making sure that we're understanding the scope of the audit, so what data, processes, and systems are going to be involved, and what is the purpose of the audit, what is the purpose of like this assessment that we're going through to achieve that requirement. So making sure we have like an action plan, a timeline, and deliverable, and clear communication channels.
Thank you. The other thing I was thinking about is you mentioned you've done some risk assessment work. Can you walk me through the process you've used in conducting risk assessment for a new technology that is initiated within your organization?
Yeah, definitely. The first step that I like to use there, like irrespective of what the subject is or what the like core idea of the assessment is first of all to just like interact or have communications with the teams or personnel that might be subject matter experts on that to understand what they already have, whether that be policies, how they're implementing those policies, and the safeguards that they may have. And so after that, I'm able to come up and get more information to see what I can identify as a deficiency and a gap based on the risk levels that it poses to our organization. And so from there, we're able to identify the threats that those risks will have to our organization, and we're able to remediate by mitigating any controls or safeguards that we have in place and making sure that we have documentation that shows our whole process or sets a standard of procedure for what we're doing on there.
Got it. So can you walk me through some of the remediation project you've worked on, and what's your approach to remediation within your organization right now?
Yeah, definitely. So, in regards to the remediation process, so mostly from my experience, I've gotten to work with the remediation team, whether that be on the vendor risk side, where we would create a remediation plan or timeline based on how critical the gap is to make sure that there are clear communication channels that are being established with whichever like vendor representative that we have to make sure that they're meeting the agreed timelines and deliverables that we have set. And even in scenarios where it's been an internal focus, we still do the same thing where we make sure that we're having an audit trail and just set out responsibilities to whichever team owns that risk, so like the risk owners, to make sure that they're able to meet up with the commitments that they've set up and just close the gaps that we have open during the set time.
Thank you. So currently, within our organization, we are implementing a new GRC solution called Risk Rhino. What are some controls you would recommend if you were to advise us right now?
Yeah, definitely. I would say first of all would be like the software development life cycle, the change management system, and also looking at like the access control. So definitely change management systems, the software development life cycle, the access controls, and probably just making sure that the application is like the GRC tool is able to, if we're looking at the data it's going to
Yeah,
store, how does the data life cycle work in regards to how the data will be onboarded, how data is going to be stored within the application, and if we need to dispose any of the data, how the disposal process would be like.
excellent. As a GRC analyst, what would you say is your main strength?
Yeah, I would say probably collaboration and effective communication because I feel like that's a very huge like trait and
Yeah,
skill that's needed in the field because we get to work with like different team members and it's just a lot of like communication to understand various
yeah.
perspectives and priorities.
Okay. So in general, how do you deal with a business unit that disagree with your findings or observation during an assessment?
Yeah, definitely. I would say first of all, I try not to make it seem like I am or like the GRC team is trying to make like their process or their normal workflow hard for them. Definitely just let them know that we're just trying to, look at the cybersecurity side of things in terms of making sure what they're doing is safe, like it's secure, the processes are secure. So I would first of all just make sure we have that clear communication there and listen to what their priorities are in regards to, sometimes it might be workflow anxiety where they don't want to change whatever their current workflow is, or
Yeah.
if they do make any changes, it might affect whatever their set schedules are, which is very understandable. So I think just understanding where they're coming from and trying to find some kind of common ground if possible on there.
Okay. Can you walk us through, and this will be second to the last question. Can you walk us through a situation where you aligned a GRC initiative with a key business objective in general?
So, and just to make sure I'm understanding that correctly, like aligning the GRC initiatives with like
So,
the
for
business.
example, we have within our GRC space, we have components of risk assessment with our tool called Risk Rhino. We have components of tracking questionnaires for third party. So we align, for example, our procurement team getting third party on board with the objective by making sure we customize the questionnaires based on what our procurement team does. The same thing for the risk assessment based on what the IT business unit does. So we kind of, work hand in hand to make sure the GRC tools meets ultimately the business objective also. So I was just curious if you had a similar experience with using GRC solution to map to business objective.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I would say a lot of it has, from my experience, has come to play in the third party side. So there's a lot of like a security assessment or security questionnaire fatigue. So we've
Yeah,
definitely gotten feedback about that. So being able to, narrow down the number of questions within our questionnaire to make it, more effective, but also not as cumbersome.
thank you. What about control automation or optimization? So when we do SOX control or IT general control, one of the things we do is control rationalization or optimization. We go in to see if there are certain controls we can potentially automate the process, especially things around reporting. If we could have mechanism to automate it, we do. So do you have experience with working on automated controls?
Yes, definitely. So of recent, I got to work with a company that they were segueing into automating their user access review campaigns. So it was
Okay,
something that was manually done prior, where you would feed in the data into the application, verify and validate the data. But they got to automate that using a tool called CyberArk for the automation on there in regards to completing the user access review campaigns.
got it. Okay. Um, all right, let's take one more and we'll take questions from you. So walk me through the process you've used in policy development.
Yeah, definitely. So, in terms of developing policies, after making sure that we have information, we've gone through the whole like risk assessment process. We're implementing controls, etc. So, getting to that stage where we're able to, like, in regards to writing the policy, we're using enough like clear and concise language to make sure everything is set in place, so that that policy is a fallback to show that we have this in place and this is how we're going to implement the set controls on there.
Excellent. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, definitely. So the question I have is, what are like the current constraints that the organization has, like with the GRC program, and what the long-term goals would be in regards to just the advancement of the program in general?
And within our GRC program, one of the challenges we've had is having an effective tool to help us track remediation. The tool we currently have triggers alerts, but for third party, it's not been effective to send reminders to the stakeholders when they've not actually filled in the questionnaire. So we're looking for solution to mitigate that concern right now for us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any other question?
No, that will be all for now.
All right. Okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen, in honor of Soso and everybody, if you don't mind, can we just like everybody, like the campaign, like us on YouTube? I mean, I think before we get into assessing Soso. All right, let's go to the normal drill, ladies and gentlemen. We are not always kind here, but we'll be brutal and honest and give our feedback. And I'll tell you this also, just my first opinion, definitely it's a my first instinct is an higher, definitely, because you came prepared. And I love what Yemi said. Yemi Salau, thank you, sir. That this is really an example of someone that came prepared. This is a well prepared candidate. Honestly, I was trying too hard to find flaws. Yes, some questions I may need you to get into the details of it for some, but really on the surface, I think she was so prepared. I'll be doing the injustice if I don't. Definitely, I give you a five. That's our max here. I don't want to sneak in six, so I will force you to go prepare more. But it was very well done. And feel free, ladies and gentlemen. Please go ahead and give her what you think. And you know, okay, I like this. This is a good feedback. One thing, so is your body language. I think is great. We would just want to reduce a little bit so that the hand swinging does not look like it's very excessive. I didn't want to give you that feedback because I was thinking, I hope it doesn't knock you off your game and your strength. So don't take it as an advice that honestly you might even toss my advice. That's okay. because I just want to make sure you're. I would rather take the content and disregard the hand movement. So if it would affect the way you speak, then keep doing it. Okay. If you think reducing it would
Mhm.
still be the same momentum, then reduce it. But if
Yeah.
you think it would impact your flow, then stick with it. All right. I'll take content over body movement. But just if you can reduce it, that'll be
Yeah.
use it because it's natural for you. But just kind of um, tone it down a little bit, just a little bit. Okay. So I think that was great. The other thing is that, which I agree, come with at least 3 questions.
Questions.
So don't let me ask more, say, do you have more questions? Ask me at least two, 3 questions ready to go. Let me see some other comments. Okay, that was from Yemi. Thank you, Yemi. A lot of people said this was great. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we expect at the Lions Den. And I'll tell you this, don't run from coming to these occasions because if you do, you shortchange yourself. A lot of you always, try to reach out one on one and say, okay, no problem. I can do one on one with you. But the implication is it's too expensive for you. This makes sense. It's free. Just have fun, learn from other people. I am one person. This is an experience that anyone cannot replicate, to be honest, because this is not me. This is tons of our community giving our feedback. These are actionable feedback. And in case you don't know, Soso has come before, like almost a few weeks before, and you could tell the improvement is like day and night. It's amazing, really. I love it. So don't chicken out. It's just a way for us to prepare our team. Ultimately, we just want to have an offer. That's all, really. So I think it was. I mean, it was really good, ladies, and it was. I mean, honestly, I was trying too hard to find fault, and it was so minimal that I could see. Let me see. Somebody said she used to speak. Okay, I like that. You could see, yeah. So Dr. said she used to speak fast, but now she slowed down a little bit. Yeah. And that's the whole idea, really. The maturity we learn from each other, we improve. And that's it. Who cares? At the end of the day, get an offer. Nobody cares. And for those of you worried and saying, oh, what about if somebody goes in and find me on YouTube? Any manager or leadership that Googles you and go to YouTube and find your name, they are sick people in their mind. Number one, your name is not on our forum to say they are searching by your name. So anyone that goes to YouTube and type your name would not see so that comes out of this. We don't put anyone's name on our search engine or our SEO, nothing like that. So it's the least of your worry. But if somebody is checking every video in the whole YouTube that they are looking for you and I, they are crazy and you don't want to work with them anyway. So it's the least of your worry. All right. All right. Let's see another one. Okay. Okay. Somebody said you can sit straight a little bit more. So, like I said, my compromise is this: even if you do all of those, as long as it does not impact your flow, that is it. The flow to me was very good. I love it. So, other piece of the body language, yes, you can always adjust your seats as needed. Somebody said that confidence was great. Yeah. Okay, the other thing is for the questions, just wrap it with more details. Remember the star model. This is the situation. This was my role, and this is what I actually did. Okay, let's see another one. She did awesome, eloquent. She's ready to roar. You did great, so. Great job, so. Somebody said she has improved so much. I mean, listen, man, this is the whole idea. We just want to keep adding value to each other. So thank you. That was really well done. Okay, I liked it. Yemi said, "Row, row, row." Okay, she did pretty well. So thank you everybody for spending some time to hang out with us. As always, excellent job. So thank you so much for taking the chance and showcasing your skill. I wish you Godspeed. I can't wait to see you with your offer and everybody else. Let's keep helping each other, supporting each other as always. Like us on YouTube. If you bounce without liking us, my eyes on you. I'm watching you all. Thank you, everybody. God bless.
Thank you.
Talk soon. Thank you, Soso. Excellent job. Thank you, man. Thanks, everybody. Best week ever. Keep shining. We'll talk soon, everybody.